Hello, my fellow knowledge seekers. My name is Rita Frisbee, and this is my presentation on domestic policy and government awareness. The objective of sharing the information you're about to receive is to leave with a bit more of an understanding and to have an idea of what our government consists of. To uphold social contract, the United States government follows a political format that involves Congress to enact within the realm of our Constitution. Therefore, becoming familiar with some key concepts are essential for one's civil duty. I chose these 10 key concepts because they relate best to familiarizing oneself to the layout of government. Listed at the top of this slide is a webpage, calmatters.org, and it is a weekday guide to California policy and politics. The article, How Well Is Your Legislator Representing You?, written by Samia Kamil, published December 6 of 2023, is relevant to government and social capital procedure, in which it highlights matters related to liberal and social democracy. As written in summary, with few strict rules on what California lawmakers must do, politics, policy priorities, and personal preferences determine how much they follow the wishes of voters who put them into office. So power begins with education, specifically the process of moving through the system and acquiring knowledge, social capital, and skills, which is also known as one of the key concepts, educational pipeline. I also listed a web page here called Political Typology Quiz. It gives an idea of where you fall on the spectrum of the political ideology. So moving on to the next key term is political socialization. It is the learning process it's the learning process through which most people acquire their political attitudes, opinion, beliefs, and knowledge. Some factors that play into that belief system are family, social network, personal experience, and or media. Which brings me to my next key concept, liberal versus social democracy. So both of these key terms are related to what they what they prioritize. So liberal relates to liberty, and it differs from the social democracy because of what they put as priority. That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't believe in the same concepts as social democracy, but they prioritize differently, and that's what makes them different. So liberal relates to liberty, the state of being free, and they focus more on individual rights. And the US, the United States, is a Western liberal democracy. Social democracy prioritizes with more on community rights. So they focus more as a collective. They focus more on collective rights as a whole. And most democracies are social democracies. More is written on that, and it by Polanyi, Wolf, and Stradinger. It's called The American Difference. And the next key concept would be social capital. Social capital is basically who you know and what spaces you're allowed to be in. As Robert Putnam stated, Americans are not bowling or acting on their civil duty and are thus gaining less social capital. I believe he was referring to citizens being too busy to even participate in social capital. So therefore, who do we know and what spaces do we fill if we have no educational pipeline and therefore not practicing our social capital? Another key concept is welfare state and partisan politics. So welfare state are forms of government assistance. They are lifeboats for the community. When Congress cannot agree on a bill, government shutdowns can occur and federal jobs will not be funded and federal offices will not be open. So this is the result of a partisan politic. It's disagreement. Federalism. So the layer cake federalism and the marble cake federalism. Federalism is a system of government in which power is divided and shared between national, state, and local government. We have more than one government. There are many governments because they're separated by state, counties, cities. And there's a picture here that lists the national governments that we have. Through 1989, from 1989 or 1789, excuse me, through 1937, clear layers that separate governments were defined. So federal government does its own thing in California, or state government does their own thing, also known as dual federalism. But after the Great Depression, the layer cake transitioned to marble cake, meaning federal governments mixed with state governments, also known as cooperative federalism. And with each unit within the government, they're all responsible for different matters, therefore they have different viewpoints, and in order to collaborate, sometimes it caused tension amongst other ideas. So when tension between governments occur, this is also known as partisan politics. The next key concept is civil rights and political decisions. So civil rights is the rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. It constructs what the government must do to maintain equality of all citizens, and civil liberties provide basic rights and freedom for citizens. And civil liberties, it is what government cannot do to maintain equality of all citizens. So when civil rights occur when civil liberties are violated. Thus, all three branches of government can enact forms of civil rights and executive order, which also relates to the next key concept, domestic policy. Domestic policy is any kind of political decision which the government performs a lot of. And the last key concept is federal budget. The U.S. spends more than it takes in, so currently the federal budget is at a deficit. And money collected in interest and taxes are used to pay for government services such as food assistance, housing assistance, or social agencies. most federal spending is on Medicare and Social Security. And reminding what the objective is and what the whole theme of this is, referring back to their thesis, my thesis, to uphold social contract, the United States government follows a political format that involves Congress to enact within the realm of our Constitution. Therefore, becoming familiar with some key concepts are essential for one's civil duty. And I hope that these key concepts were able to motivate you into being more or practicing more your educational pipeline. So I was able to tell this information to a few people. One, my girls' grandmother. I chose to teach my kids' grandmother, Danette, and a best friend of mine, Soledad. But before beginning on the PowerPoint, I had her take the political typology test. Both of them, I had them take the political typology test. This technique gave me an idea of where they stood among the ideology spectrum to perform in a way they would understand a bit better. As she took the test, I noticed they both had questions, and they both had some idea of domestic policy, but was not completely familiar of the terminology, as I also still am, or social capital. They both expressed so much interest and connected their thought process to the life experiences with what was taught in the PowerPoint. And this assignment also helped with practicing the material on a personal level. Final thoughts. It is difficult to grasp or to teach the entire American politic concept in this small PowerPoint, but the key concepts that were mentioned aroused interest to those I did decide to share the PowerPoint with. So that was a plus. And I do believe that American politics is involved in everything we do, because to live is to abide by government domestic policy.